Hello, this is Brian Houle, a solutions consultant with Beyond 20, and today I want to talk about manipulating relationships in Cherwell service management. Primarily, what we want to do is think about ways that we can use relationships productively in the system, and one of the things that inspired me was how the change management business object in Cherwell uses relationships to create an approval history tab. In this system I have here, I've got a service request approval set up, and this approval workflow is outside of the approval engine that ships with Cherwell because I wanted customers to be able to do approvals via email, and that's what I've set up here. But primarily what I'm looking at is having two approval relationships. One is approvals, and that is how it comes out of the box. So the relationship is keyed on the approval parent ID. However, I also have an approval history tab. And if you look at the change management business object, again, you can see how this is set up. And in this approval scheme, the approval record moves into the approval history when it's been approved or denied. So here we have approval history. So we have an approved record. And this guy here is just waiting in the approvals tab. And so this is a simple example, but it does show the power of manipulating relationships on similar objects. So let's go into the admin tool here. And first, let's go over to our incident object, and let's look at how we set this up. So we have the incident owns approval relationship. If we look at the links tab, you can see that the parent rec ID is the key field here. So that that's where the incident goes in the approval field. Now, if we cancel out of here, what I've done, and again, you can look at the change business object to really explore this. I've created an incident owns historical approvals. So as you'll notice, the child of the relationship off of incident is approval in both cases. There. However, the key here is, well, the key. If we go to links, we see that the ID of incident in approval field is going into history ID on the approval record. So what that means is this relationship is on a different key field. And that's useful because all we have to do then, if we want to move an approval from the approvals tab, which keys on the parent rec ID, to approval history, which keys off that history ID field, is we just need to copy parent rec ID to history ID. So let's look at how that is done. And most of the heavy lifting is done by a single one step here. So if I edit this, what I'm doing is I'm setting my history ID to equal the rec ID. That's my first step. So I'm essentially moving this value to this field. The second thing I'm doing is then clearing the parent rec ID field. And what that does is it removes the approval from that first approvals relationship to the historical approvals relationship. And then finally, I'm clearing the block ID of the approval step. And then finally, I have two email steps in there. But this is the important part. So what we're doing is we're setting the history ID to create that relationship between incident and the historical approval. We're clearing out the original ID, and then we're clearing our block ID. And that's all we need to do to move an approval from the approvals tab to the approval history tab. And so we just trigger that off of a business process that waits for the status of the approval to move away from waiting to either approved or denied. And then we run that one step, which switches the value of the incident ID from the parent rec ID to the history ID field, and then moves it to this tab. So that's a really interesting way of making use of relationships to create multiple relationships between two objects for fun and profit. So thank you for listening, and subscribe to our channel for more Cherwell videos. Thank you.